You are so stupid. I'm sorry, Mommy.
I wish I never had you. You don't measure. You're so stupid.
I don't love you anymore.
You're so stupid. I wish I never had you.
So in this fifth commandment, which reads, honor your father and your mother, we begin to understand that there is a weightiness to this child-parent relationship, that literally what happens here in the early stages sets the tone for the rest of our lives. We learn that this is a cradle-to-grave relationship, and God says, honor your father and your mother. Honor your parents. And to some, this comes easily and naturally because for you, home was good and loving and stable. Home was a place of security and hope. But to others, home was less than good. Home was where there was hurt and lots of pain. You heard words like, I wish you had never been born. Life was better without you. For some, home was even worse than that. More than just words that cut deeply, home was a place where you felt the brunt of a parent's fury or you experienced their perversion. And so for you to honor your parents seems next to impossible. So into both worlds and everything in between, God says, in some way, somehow, we got to figure out how to bring honor into this relationship because God understands, and we need to understand that this relationship is so unique and so important that God says we have to figure out how to get this thing right. I think that this is so important to God because God ultimately knows that parents give us a picture of who He is. In the first part of this message on the fifth commandment, we begin to talk about the idea that in order to honor God, we need to learn to honor our parents. Remember that ancient Hebrew saying that came from the Talmud? It was written almost 2,000 years ago. It says that if any man desires to honor God, he must honor his parents, and he who honors his parents already has begun to honor God. So I think that this commandment has two implications. It is for our kids and it is for us as adults. And I think that part about the kids is easy to understand. We get that because we want our kids to honor us and to obey us. We want our kids to be good kids. But I think that this idea that our kids need to honor us begins with us, not them. In the New Testament, the fifth commandment is re-quoted in the book of Ephesians with a little bit of a twist. It uses the word obey, not honor. And it says, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. And we go to that, yay, that is dead on. We're all about that. But the verse that follows right after that is equally as weighty. It says, fathers, and I suppose that this means mothers as well. It says, fathers, do not exasperate your children. Don't frustrate them. Don't be overly harsh with them. The obvious is don't beat them down. We've all seen parents be so harsh with their kids that the kid never feels like he's good enough. We've all seen parents literally lose control toward their kids. We've all seen parents yell and scream and curse their own child. It breaks our heart and it breaks the heart of God. But maybe this commandment is that before we can teach our kids to honor us as parents, maybe this is teaching us as parents to be honorable first. Maybe that's the first step in applying this toward our lives. Maybe our kids are just tired of hearing us say, do what I say, not what I do. Maybe our kids just need to start seeing us do what God does and do what He says. Maybe we need to start loving like God loves. Maybe we need to be hopeful like God is hopeful, pure like God is pure, gracious like God is gracious, generous like God is generous. Maybe they cannot learn to honor us until we learn to truly honor God. Maybe that's where we start with this commandment this